I don't know if I want to see him in there week one. And I just tell you that every physical therapist and every doctor that works with a player tells you how miraculously they're doing because of all the great work that they've done with the player. But you've got to be able to see that. And with a young quarterback, they don't just have to go in and be able to run the offense. They've got to be able to go in and be able to get out of problems if they come up. So if there's an overload blitz, they need to have the understanding of what to change the play to so they're not taking unnecessary hits. And you want them to learn, but you don't want them to learn at the expense of taking, a beating or losing their confidence. And it's a balance of trying to get him that experience, trying to put him in a position where he can be as successful as possible, but also making sure that you're doing the responsible thing for that player because he is capable of getting himself out of problems that inevitably come up.
Well, Coach, this is for you. Let's put up the Dolphins schedule because there's multi-layered, multifaceted as to why Tua absolutely should start week one. The most important game the Dolphins will play against the Patriots is not week one. It is week 15. And you would much prefer that Tua has some experience, even if it's negative experience against them. Secondarily, the critical stretch of the Dolphins season comes starting in week 7. When you have, leave that beautiful schedule up, America. We need to see this. We need to go through it. Week 7, you have back-to-back weeks of West Coast teams coming east. You have that massive advantage, 1 p.m. Eastern kickoffs against the Chargers, and then another time where a West Coast team comes east against Rams or Chargers first, and then against the Rams. Pardon me. You have winnable games against the Jets and Cardinals. So you need Tua to have gotten out of his lumps early, and maybe most importantly, I think we're looking at this from the wrong perspective. The reason the Dolphins went 5-4 down the stretch last year was not because Ryan Fitzpatrick was brilliant. It was because the defense got better. A defense that added Byron Jones, added Shaq Lawson, I'm leaving one guy out, added Kyle Van Noy, former Patriot. And this is the most important part of that schedule. Think of the quarterbacks that you're playing. You have 2 games against Jared Stidham. You have 2 games against Josh Allen. You have a game against Gardner Minshew, a game against Drew Lock, a game against Joe Burrow, a game against Justin Herbert, 2 more games against Sam Darnold, who I'm not sure if he's any good. That's 10 of your 16 games where you might actually have the better quarterback in Tua. So for all those reasons, get him going, be 8-7, Jenna, going into week 17 at Buffalo with a playoff spot on the line. Let's go, Miami.
I got to jump in for 1 second, though. The PT didn't just say he's had a miraculous, schedule of training and rehab, and he looks good. He said it's so rare to have strength back after surgery like this. I feel like you're playing with fire if you're going to throw him in there if it's so rare that he's come along so quickly. And check this out, though. Our friends at Fox Bet have the Dolphins win total increasing from 6 to 7 if Tua starts all 16 games. So, Coach, I guess I would ask you, if he's healthy and they do start him, how much better would the Dolphins season as a whole be? You saw the schedule Nick just put up with Tua as the starter, obviously over Fitzpatrick.
Well, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, you don't know what you're getting. He's a roller coaster ride, and he's not. Last year they brought him in and they thought they could tank with him, and he's not the guy you want to tank with because he can go out and light you up. And you saw it when he was at the Jets and they went 10-6, and then there's been multiple times in his career where he's played really well. So that veteran presence, that potential that he has, it's hard to say that Tua is gonna match that early on. And when you look at the schedule that Nick so willingly put up there, that first 5 games is rough. You've got the Patriots, You've got the Bills, 2 really challenging defenses. We'll see where Jacksonville comes out, but they've had their moments as well. Then you've got Seattle and San Francisco. So you start a young guy who's not prepared to navigate through all the challenges that those defenses can present, who's coming off an injury. You've got the potential for him not being available for the second half of the season, Nick.
But I guess I don't think you can maybe I'm wrong, and I shouldn't tell you how you should coach, but I don't think you can coach with the concern of, well, this defense is going to hurt my quarterback, so let's put the Fitzpatrick out there so he's the one who gets dinged instead of Tua. Now, I want to be fair here. I promised Kevin Wildes before the show that I would not include Jarrett Stidham in the list of awful quarterbacks. I did it. Wildes was so disgusted he turned his camera off. I'm glad you're back now, Wildes. Please accept my apology. I didn't mean to run you off the show by breaking a commitment to you. But I think because they play those tough games early, Wildes, you get to some experience, so he's good to go in your very winnable stretch in the middle part of the season, Kevin.
Yeah, so for just a clarification, I didn't actually unplug. It's an algorithm that I have over my whole house that immediately, if there's any Jarrett Stidham slander, the whole thing shuts down, includes the microwave or anything else. Just the whole house just goes off. Look, I think it comes down to this, Coach, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Are the Dolphins trying to win or not? Are they trying to win this year, or is this a developmental year, or are we trying to do both? Because if you're trying to win, you start Ryan Fitzpatrick for a while, and then they hand the keys of the car over. If you're saying, like, yeah, let's start Tua and have him lose, like the old Peyton Manning, 3-13, 13-3, sure, that's what it feels like Joe Burrow's going to happen. But if they just came off a big winning streak last year, and the beginning of the season is brutal, let him learn a bit so he doesn't get, I wrote it down, Coach, overload blitz. Once that overload blitz comes, watch out, Coach.
Yeah, I feel a little frustrated for you and your family. Your house must be dark quite often if it's based off of Stidham negative comment.
Okay, all right.
But here's the way it works is to say if you want to win, you have to start Ryan Fitzpatrick. Look, a lot of people have started Ryan Fitzpatrick in the hopes of winning, and it hasn't worked out. You would love to play your young quarterback early, but you'd also like to play him if he's ready. You don't want to go and put him out there and have him get his head beat in and have his confidence be shaken. And not just his confidence, but the confidence of the players around him can also be shaken. And you don't want that either. And in boxing, oftentimes with a young fighter, you'll get him fights against opponents. Those are guys that aren't very good, to build up his confidence so that when he gets into those fights that are meaningful, he's ready to go. And that's not something I'm making up, Nick. That's a reality.
But also, and Nick, don't you think there's a psychological toll it plays on a young quarterback? There's so much pressure on Tua coming in, whether he'd be ready and healthy to throw him in, and you see what his first 4 of the 5 games are to start. Your guy Mahomes sat for a year behind Alex Smith. Baker sat behind Tyrod Taylor for a couple games before he went in. Just to let that part of the season get out of the way, put him in where there's at least more of a chance that he could build some of that confidence up?
Yeah, I get that, but Mahomes was sitting behind a guy who'd made a couple Pro Bowls and for a playoff team in Alex Smith, not Ryan Fitzpatrick. And by the way, you know what I think will build to his confidence? If in the first 3 games of his NFL career, he's the best quarterback on the field. That's true. He's better than Stidham. I think he's better than Josh Allen. And I know he's better than Gardner. So, yes, weeks 4 and 5 suck, and they're brutal. Seattle and San Francisco. Those games are brutal for the Dolphins, no matter who their starting quarterback is. So get Tua out there, and I don't think that they have to approach it from Tua's got to carry us. Your defense should be able to win 6 of your 8 games against Stidham, Josh Allen, Gardner Minshew, Drew Lock, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. That defense, coached by a defensive coach in Brian Flores, who just signed Byron Jones, who spent a lot of money on that defense this offseason, the defense, you could have not quite the approach the Steelers had last year, but something similar, which is ask our quarterback not to kill us, because that's the other part of Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick knows he can throw 5 touchdown passes in a game. And he goes into every game trying to remind everyone he can do it. So occasionally he throws 5 interceptions. I think Tua actually, oddly, as a rookie, is safer than Fitzpatrick as a guy who in his brain is Brett Favre. And so I think for the Dolphins, if he's healthy, and it appears he is, this is an easy decision, Jenna.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.